Have you ever been cheated on? Have you ever thought about taking revenge? It's a bitter pill to swallow, isn't it? The betrayal, the heartache, the anger, it all swirls together, creating a maelstrom of emotions that often leads to one thought: revenge. But before you start plotting your retaliation, let's dive into the murky waters of revenge and its consequences, because sometimes in our quest for justice we lose sight of what truly matters. You might be surprised to find out that revenge isn't always the best solution. Consider the story of Jane, who discovered her partner was having an affair. A crushing blow that left her reeling. Jane was swamped with feelings of betrayal, anger, and sadness. Her world had been turned upside down, and she decided she wanted nothing more than to make her partner feel the same pain he had inflicted on her. Jane started brainstorming ways to exact her revenge. She thought about exposing her partner's infidelity to his friends, family, and even his workplace. Perhaps, she thought, the public humiliation would make him understand the magnitude of his actions. She also considered destroying his prized possessions, a collection of rare vintage watches. Jane believed that his luxury items represented his vanity and lack of respect for their relationship. However, as she set her plan into motion, things took an unforeseen turn. Jane's partner lost his job due to the scandal she had created, and this affected their joint finances. She hadn't considered that their shared resources would take a hit. The loss of income, coupled with the destruction of the watch collection, represented a significant financial loss. The emotional toll was even greater. Jane was now the subject of gossip and scrutiny, her private life laid bare for all to see. Friends and family who once supported her started to distance themselves, uncomfortable with her actions. The sweet revenge she had sought became a bitter pill to swallow. The legal implications were another unexpected hurdle. Jane's partner sued her for the destruction of his property, and the court proceedings added more stress to her already fragile emotional state. She was now facing legal repercussions for actions that were initially driven by pain and anger. In Jane's case, her revenge backfired and resulted in more pain and loss. Instead of finding closure or satisfaction, Jane was left with a damaged reputation, financial instability, and legal issues. Her story serves as a reminder that revenge, while initially seeming like a sweet solution, can often lead to outcomes far more sour than the original betrayal. Now, let's look at another case, Mike, who sought to get even with his unfaithful wife. Mike was a hard-working man, a loving husband, who came home one day to find his wife in the arms of another man. The shock and betrayal cut deep, but instead of confronting her, he decided to plot a revenge scheme. He wanted her to feel the same hurt he did. But as we'll see, his plan didn't quite work out as intended. Mike decided to reveal his wife's infidelity at a large family gathering. He thought it would be the perfect setting where she would be surrounded by people who would witness her humiliation. However, he failed to consider the ripple effects of his actions. On the day, he stood up and announced his wife's betrayal to the room. The reaction was immediate and intense. His wife was mortified as he'd intended, but so were others. There was his wife's sister, who was also her best friend, and was blindsided by the news. Then there was their teenage niece, who looked up to their marriage as a model of love and commitment. She was devastated by the news, struggling to comprehend what she'd just heard. But the most unintended victim was Mike's mother-in-law, a kind-hearted woman with a weak heart. The shock was too much for her and she collapsed on the spot, rushed to the hospital with a heart attack. Mike's revenge plan had worked, but at a far greater cost than he'd ever imagined. His wife was humiliated, yes, but he'd also caused pain to innocent people who had nothing to do with his wife's infidelity. The guilt and regret he felt over his mother-in-law's health crisis far outweighed any satisfaction he got from his revenge. Mike's story is a stark reminder that revenge is a double-edged sword. It can hurt the person you're targeting, but it can also harm innocent bystanders. It's a lesson in the importance of thinking through the potential consequences of our actions, especially when they're driven by anger or hurt. Mike's story shows us that revenge can lead to unintended collateral damage. Cheating can be a devastating experience, and it's natural to want to get back at the person who hurt you. As we've seen from our case studies, the pursuit of revenge often leads to unexpected and undesirable outcomes. The idea of retaliation may seem sweet initially, a way to regain control and soothe the sting of betrayal. However, the reality is often far from this. In our first case study, the sweet revenge turned sour. What started as a master plan to make the cheater feel the same pain ended up causing more harm than good. The aftermath was a whirlpool of guilt, regret, and even legal consequences, a far cry from the satisfaction initially imagined. Our second case study painted a picture of an unintended victim. Here, the revenge plot spiraled out of control. affecting innocent bystanders. The collateral damage was immense, leading to a loss of relationships and trust that extended beyond the initial heartbreak. These real-life scenarios underscore an important lesson. Revenge is not only unfulfilling but also potentially destructive. It's a cycle that perpetuates pain instead of alleviating it. It's crucial to remember that there are healthier ways to cope with betrayal. Seeking support from loved ones, investing time in self-care and personal growth, and pursuing professional help if necessary, can all contribute to a more positive healing process. In the end, the best revenge is to heal, grow, and move forward with your life.